Former President Trump testified today in Manhattan in his own defense at the civil defamation trial.
Courtroom sketches show him on the stand after being sworn in as a witness, but he wasn't up there for long, and afterwards both sides rested their cases. CBS 2's Alice Gainer was in the courtroom. She's live outside now with details on what happened when Trump took the stand. Alice.
Well, the former president was only on the stand for about 3 to 4 minutes tops. His lead attorney only asked him about 3 questions, and they were not allowed to be open-ended questions. They only could be yes or no, and that is because the judge wanted to ensure that Mr. Trump testified just to the facts of the case. Before lawyers for E. Jean Carroll rested their case, they played clips from former President Trump's taped deposition where they asked him if he read E. Jean Carroll's book or the article about her book detailing her allegation that he sexually assaulted her in a dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman in the mid-90s. "No, I don't believe I did," he said. But they noted that same day the excerpt from the book was published, he denied the allegation, making what has already been ruled to be defamatory comments. During that deposition, Carroll's attorneys point out to him that he said Carroll was trying to carry out a political agenda. But on tape, when asked, he says he doesn't know Carroll's political affiliation. Before the defense began its case, the judge spoke to both sides and went over attorney questions in great detail to ensure Trump stayed within the confines of what he was allowed to testify to. The judge said during the trial last spring, Mr. Trump elected not to testify. The jury in that case concluded he sexually assaulted Carroll by putting his fingers inside of her. Trump shook his head loudly, saying, "Ugh." He was not permitted to make arguments to dispute that. When called to the stand, Trump was asked whether he stood by the testimony he gave in that taped deposition played in court, during which he denied the assault. He told the court 100% yes. And when asked if he ever instructed anyone to harm Carroll, he replied no. Trump left the courtroom saying, "It's not America, not America. This is not America." A different jury awarded Carroll $5 million last year after finding he sexually abused her and made defamatory comments in 2022. This is a separate case about comments already ruled defamatory that he made in 2019. So this jury must decide how much money, if any at all, that Mr. Trump must pay Ms. Carroll for those comments he made in 2019. Her lawyers are asking them to come up with a number that they say would get him to stop making comments about Carroll because, as they pointed out in court today, he continues to make comments about her. Dick, Dana?
Alice, you were one of the very few limited number of people allowed in the courtroom. What was it like when the former president took the stand? Was there a drama, or was it came and it went?
That's right. There are limited seats. This is a federal courthouse. So even though it wasn't a packed courtroom, they only allow a certain number of journalists in there. There are U.S. Marshals, Secret Service, the court officers that are in there. So I actually got the last spot in the main courtroom. They do have overflow rooms set up. Other journalists are in those rooms watching the proceedings on screens as well. Today it was fairly quiet in the courtroom. You know, normally Mr. Trump, when he has been here for this trial, he's shaking his head a lot. He's loudly talking to his attorneys. The judge is constantly reprimanding him, telling him to lower his voice. He did that once today to Mr. Trump, but the jury was not yet in the courtroom. He seemed to be more controlled, I guess you would say, today here at trial.
All right, Alice Gainer on the scene as always. Thank you, Alice.
We have continuing coverage on our website. You can see our previous coverage of the defamation trial, including why it was delayed earlier this week. That's all on CBSNewYork.com.